Hello, esteemed staff of RPG Limit Break. I'm Mike34, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to my submission video for Lufia II Rise of the Sinistrals, the Ancient Cave. The first thing you want to know about the Ancient Cave is that it's a sub-game within the actual game. And why would anybody want to watch a sub-game instead of the regular game? Well, to answer that, and this has been showcased in Limit Break before, so most of you probably do know, but for those that don't, is that this game is incredibly fun, and we have a huge community around it. For example, if you go to the actual Lufia II Discord, the last post was over a year ago, but we have a vibrant community and have held annual tournaments for half as long as GDQ's been running. So right now I'm in the Ancient Cave. This is my PB video from a few weeks ago. I was top 10, and it's a 1 hour and 2 minute video. I went to the cave and I skipped immediately to floor 3. In the actual run that we would be running as a 4-team race, 4-player race, we'll be quite a bit safer opening more in the earlier floors to get more survival items. So, unlike many marathon games, the Ancient Cave is not a safe thing. And that's part of why we want to do a four-man race, because someone for sure is going to die. However, someone's also going to beat the cave. I'll explain that more as we go. I have some metrics for success rates in our annual Fatal Blowout tournament. It's a 2-hour estimated time, and there's a deadly rod. I'll come back to that in a minute. 2-hour time, and 25% of people who play it beat the jelly. Now, these are all players that have joined it throughout the duration of the tournament. The people submitting to this tournament will be the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and me, now the 11th, fastest runners in the cave. So by virtue of higher skill set, those odds go up quite a bit more. Additionally, people who in this tournament have brought Darby as their capsule monster have a 44% success rate. So I estimate with us four to have about 60% success rate per runner. However, should one of us get to the jelly only without the items needed to kill it, we do have a backup strat whereby you glitch the game out by killing yourself. And if you suicide, the game is tricked into thinking that it has no logic for you dying because the jelly can't do damage to you, and it auto kills the jelly. So taking that into account, all we have to do is get to the jelly, and that each runner should have a 75% chance of doing. That, I hope, assuages some concerns from the marathon. Now, getting back into the game and the technical aspect of what we're doing right now, we're trying to balance going fast with survivability while also getting items to kill the jelly. We're on floor 11 now, so the first 10 floors are very safe. You're looking for heal spells, you're looking for like the deadly rod we saw recently that has an 80% chance of killing any monster that we face other than undead. The deadly rod has the additional benefit of having an IP effect. That is, as you get hit, you build up a bar called your IP gauge, and you can use a special attack. Well, the deadly rod, each use of it uses 33% of your IP gauge and does 1/8 of target HP. The jelly has 9,980 HP, so using that 3 times can effectively take 37.5% of his life, give or take some other things that are going on at the time. So the key item you want to beat the jelly is the Decker Blade, which does 50% plus a random amount up to 6,200 damage on the jelly as its IP gauge with 100% use. That starts dropping again on floor 15. Right now we had a little bit of a problem due to poor movement on these skeletons. We got surprise attacked and somebody died. These skeletons attack you they move at every odd interval. So what I'm going to do is count my steps to make sure I'm passing him on an even number step, and I can get by him. There's my heal right there. So you want jelly items, you want a heal, and you want a deadly. So right now in this run, we have a deadly rod, and we have strong, which is a very cheap and efficient way of healing. Also on floors 11 through 14, there are cores, which are basically metal slimes if you've played Dragon Warrior games, except they're very broken. We want them for the XP, and they do run away at a 75% rate, but there's often 4 in a fight. And unlike Dragon Warrior 4, where they're very hard to kill, the system is broken in Lufia II, and they tried to give them very high magic skill, but when they did that, oh, there goes Maxim. This run's looking rough, but we're going to pull it out. Wow, there goes Decker, only Artie's left. So they try to give basically infinite value of magic defense, which broke, and now they're infinitely weak. So every single attack magic spell kills them. Right now we're running with a half party. So we have to be careful to not die. This was actually the scariest part of the run right here where things could have failed. After this, there's still some hiccups, but we'll get to them. There's just one guy that's very good. Now, if this guy would have killed me in the tournament, in the RPG Limit Break 4-way race, since we're playing Fatal Blowout %, we'd be able to go back in the cave. We have a 2-hour time estimate and pretty reasonable time to kill, like casual kill, pretty safe, is about an hour, 20 minutes for these runners. So even if something unfortunate were to happen, there's Valor, that is a heal, that is also a revive. Even if something unfortunate were to happen, we'd be able to run in and try again. What's fun about Lufia II, the Ancient Cave, in a marathon setting is that marathons have become pretty predictably safe. You know everything everyone's going to do, and they're going to succeed every time. But having been a long-time viewer of marathons, there's kind of a fun factor of seeing a run fail from time to time. And the Ancient Cave gives the audience that enjoyment that is really lacking in a lot of marathons, with people dying, but at the same time with people winning. That's why we're doing the 4-team race. So you get that extra element. Another reason why the Ancient Cave, I believe, should be featured in marathons, especially like RPG Limit Break, is because Lufia 2 is really the original randomizer. Before Free Enterprise and Zelda randomizers that people run now, this was a built-in part of the video game that was created, and that's probably why it has such a good following now in comparison to many other games of its time. I mean, it sure doesn't have the community that maybe Chrono Trigger speedrunning does, or FF6, FF4, but we're still pretty esteemed. The 4 runners that will be running, that are submitting, are myself, Mike34. That's Fair Zach. He has the second fastest time. He's probably, knowing him, he probably submitted as 100%. but he said he'd be down for a race. Meats has submitted. He has the third fastest time. And Shadow Killer, who's done it before and I believe is involved in the event in some way, said he would submit. He has the fourth fastest time. And we would like to get Velison to submit as well. He has a really neat jelly calculator Excel program that basically mimics all the possible damage types, all the possible combinations of damage to the jelly, and lets you know how much you'll do based off of what you have. Very useful tool to test percentage chances of killing the jelly with certain setups. Okay, so getting back to the run, we have Valor, which is a heal plus revive, very high MP cost, but we also have Strong, a heal that has very low MP cost. There are 5 heals in the game, and I think there's maybe 55 total spells. Where my personal run style is I open floors in a marathon. I open floors 1 through 9. In any percent, what you're seeing now, I run open floors 3 through 9, and then depending on time, I'll open on other floors and items. What you're seeing me do now is run without opening because I have everything I needed to survive to 60. So certain items drop on certain floors. I've covered that a little bit, but I'll continue. On floor 5, deadly rods can start dropping. Heals can drop at any time, as can curse lifters, which can uncurse your deadly items so that you can use their IP skills. The Decker Blade, as I said, drops on floor 15. And then we start getting some 3 times attack weapons, which we call finishers, for Maxim in the 20s. By 29, you have access to the Red Saber, the Silver Sword, and the Mist Rapier, as well as the Crystal Wand for Artie, which you don't use too often, but you can. The ideal setup is to have a finisher on Maxim with one of the items I just described, a Decker Blade, some type of finisher for Guy. That's either a Lizard Blow, which starts dropping on floor 50, optionally a fractional, like the old sword that starts dropping on floor 50 that does a 1 in 6 chance of killing the jelly. We just ran into some bees there. I'll get back to what I was saying in a moment, but I want to talk about bees quickly. Bees do a lot of damage, and they have a movement pattern of 1 space followed by 2 spaces, then 1 space, then 0, and then their pattern repeats. So you can do some pretty cool dodges knowing when they're going to move, and you can get by them if you can get them in a corner if you're in a narrow corridor. Okay, so back to Guy's jelly killing items. There are 2 drops that you can get from monsters in the cave that give him a chance to either attack 3 times in a round or attack 2 times in 2 rounds. The one that does 2 times in 2 rounds is called a Cancer Rock. It drops on floors 26 and 27, but is most commonly farmed on floors 35 through 37 from Garbosts. They drop at a 20% rate. So you'll see all of the runners definitely farming them in this marathon. The other item you get is the Hedora Rock, which can drop from 50 through 56, but you'll see it most commonly farmed on floors 59 through 58 through 60. That gives you 3 times attack. We're on floor 29 now, which is the first real obstacle in the cave, that the wall you can hit that can just wipe you out regardless of skill, just pure RNG, and that's blue mimics. They're blue chests that you almost can't beat at the level you generally are. That's actually a true blue chest right there, and it's a black guy, which gives you agility. Agility is the most important stat in the cave. Anyway, if we those blue mimics, they can spawn in front of a doorway you need to go into, and then you're dead. They can spawn beside a doorway, and you can run away, and if they don't use their AoE, you have a chance to live. Wow, I still have 2 people dead. I'm really running it risky here. I'm only level 8 also. I didn't get cores, I see. So in a marathon, I would be fighting other things to get levels to be more safe. But in any percent, I'm just running, hoping to get to floor 32 to the next set of cores. But an incredibly trolly thing that blue mimics can do. They could spawn directly on the stairs, which is a problem for multiple reasons. One, you have to kill them to get past them. But you don't necessarily know which stairs they're on once you figure it out. If you get into a fight with a mob on the, like, let's say he was on those stairs right there. I could have engaged the other mob there, and for a split second, I would see the floor layout, and I could be able to see what tile they are on. So if we die, there will be some salty tears. But there will also be a lot of excitement and hype for when people actually win. People will be, I think the audience can really get into it. If you find a Decker Blade, there's going to be a lot of excitement, right? If you get a deadly, look at that 25% chance insta kill they did on us. So it's really intense run, I think, both for runners and audience. So we're trying to get to floor 32 because then we can farm cores. We just got there. We're past the first obstacle, the first firewall of the cave. And we're looking for these little white boxes. That's what the cores look like. They'll even try to run away on the map. And on floors 11 through 14, they give you 2,222 XP, which is to every character. It doesn't split, so it doesn't matter if you have dead characters or not. Everyone's going to get the same amount, so you want everyone alive. This core will have a blue core and could have red cores. The blue cores give you 5 times as much XP, and we have one right here, if we can kill it. It looks like we have no spells. Oh, there we go, Droplet. Okay, so Droplet's a level tier 1 weak spell, and you saw how it did 136 damage to the more powerful core because of their broken magic resistance. And now our levels are pretty good. We're probably sitting around level 14 or 15 after we're done scrolling through. Yep, level 15. Our next challenge is to get to level 20 by the time we get to floor 44, because that's our next wall we hit, and that's ninjas. Ninjas attack twice per round and often use a skill called, you'll notice I skipped the other core. This is second deadly rod. In any percent, I'm trying to get a really good time, so I have enough levels to survive for a while, so I'm not messing with it. But in a marathon, we're going to be getting every single one of these cores to increase our chances of survival. So the ninjas can use an AoE called Knife Thrower. It's very powerful. They almost always come in groups of 3. And 3 knife throwers will almost always wipe out your whole party. And sometimes Decker will survive, but if you had to fight him, that doesn't do you a lot of good once everyone else is dead, and he has maybe 80 hit points left. Okay, those plant characters you just saw there, that sprite, does not come after you until you activate it, you get close enough. This sprite here has bee movement, which we talked about earlier, except he's a 2-tile monster. He takes up more space, so a little harder to get around. I'm still not opening. We'll be opening a lot more in the marathon for safety. There's the Garbos we spoke of earlier. We definitely want to fight him to get a chance to get a finisher for Guy, the Cancer Rock. It's a 60, what is it, 68%, 58%, one of the two percentage of IP use that lets you attack twice per round. I'm sorry, it's 34%. So you use two of them, and you have 68%. Since I was talking about the community and whatnot, floors 1 through 9. Let me trace my steps back a little bit and talk about some other things you're trying to get on those floors. Other than the deadly rods on floor 5 and the heal spells, and as well as restorative items like miracles that bring you back to life with full MP and regains that bring you back to life with 100 HP, and high magics. Oh, there's the cancer rock. And high magics and X magics that replace your MP. You can also get items on the first 10 floors that you can't get in the rest of the cave. They only spawn there, and that's you could actually get a cancer rock drop, like we just found. You can get shields that have an IP attack of a very important skill called Trick. Some of them are 20% ATP boost, some are 40% ATP boost, and that's very important for the jelly. You can also find the spell Trick in the cave, but that's a pretty important item as 20% ATP, and then you can use it again with some diminishing returns. Does on average about 500 more damage in a jelly fight, if you can get it. So our setup right now is we have a deadly for survival, strong as a healing spell, and valor for survival, and we have a cancer rock, which is once we get a high ATP weapon for Guy later in the cave, can be used to have him attack twice in the second round and twice in the third round. Going back to the ideal setup, we talked about Guy now, and we talked about Maxim. Decker has the Decker blade, and if you don't get a Decker blade, chances are it's hard to get a kill. Although since we're running Darby, we'll be able to do quite a bit more damage with his Form 4. Darby, by the way, is a capsule monster, which I'll get to in a bit. These are ninja movement monsters right here. Darby 4, which you feed him, quite a few of the items you're finding in the cave has some good finishing skills. It's basically as good as a finisher for Maxim. We tried to juke him, but we only juked one here. And then Artie's kind of a wild card for his setup. If you have Trick, you're probably casting that in the early rounds, but if you have Uncursed Deadly Rod, you definitely want to use that. It's rare that you have the Uncursed Deadly Rod in a non-marathon race, so he's usually using Trick and then 2 tier 3 spells. Alright, now we've got to floor 41, so the next level of core is up, the green core. These are very important. As you see, we're level 17 right now, and we want him to stay, which he did. He's going to get us up over level 20, which is high enough level to beat ninjas. You see I absorbed here to grab a little bit of MP, and then attack to finish him off. Cores are pretty weak to MP absorb too, and that's MP absorb is important when you're low on items, but in a marathon you're probably doing it a little bit extra anyway, because we want to be as safe as possible while also going fast. A neat element of doing a 4-player race is why we're trying to be safe. We're also trying to beat each other and with a big audience show who's best, right? So we'll be playing safe, but we'll also be playing to stay comparable to the leader. So the leader will kind of be dictating the pace to an extent. We'll see how risky people want to be, if they just want to not die and win and beat the cave in general, or win overall. There could be some creative donation incentives around around the winner, but the main donation incentive is just standard. Name your character five characters. Those plants we just saw move in circles, and there's an important dynamic within the cave for moving called offset movement. So characters that move in a set space every time, like they move once per your move. There's Thunder, that's the most powerful tier 3 spell for Maxim, and the second most for Artie. So Maxim is halfway to being jelly ready. So this character here, see how he's moving one per every movement of ours? That little blue thing? If we are right by it, it's not going to fight us, ever. And there's a lot of enemies like that, like the plant. So I can, if I'm offset, which is kitty corner to it, then it'll never fight me. It'll always run away. And those two plants back there were side by side with each other. So I had to encounter them once to get them offset, run away, and then I was able to go through. See, I just skipped that monster because I was offset to him. You saw me go down the stairs a second ago, facing down, and then I held the R button to move straight up. And the reason why I did that, this is recent tech we figured out, I believe that's a Magus original, is if you're facing down when you go down the stairs, once you're to the next floor, you're facing down. And monsters are always facing the same way. So if they're always facing down. So if you're facing down and they're facing down, then they're right behind you and get a surprise attack, which lets them attack first before you go. This, especially in later floors of the cave, can be incredibly lethal. But if you have time before the animation triggers, by holding the R button, holding down up, to actually be facing them even if you were going down. Before that, we see I held on R and hit up there. Before we knew about that tech, we'd always go to the stairs facing up, run around the stairs, waste a few frames. But now we can save those frames. Third deadly rod, that's ridiculous. Unless, of course, you're Mitchie and it's your birthday and you go down the stairs and don't rotate up and get double back attacked by Orkies, which have 8 attacks apiece. Then you're dead, like Mitchie was. So that's why you have to make sure you're facing up when you go down the stairs. Alright, we are to floor 50 now, which means quite a few more items can drop. We can get the Old Sword, which does 1/6 IP, and we can get the Lizard Blow, which is one of the most powerful finishers, and you don't have to farm Cancers or Hedora Rocks to get them. Getting pretty fast stairs right here, which are pretty important. This monster here moves every 3 moves, he moves in a random direction. He doesn't do too much damage. Later on, the dragons will have the same moveset, and it's very important to be counting what step they're on so as you get a back attack, because they can destroy you at a very high clip. On floor 60, the Myth Blade can drop. Oh, look at this terrible room. 4 things in there. But nothing really hard. The really hard monsters are coming up, and we'll talk about them when we get there. At floor 60, the Myth Blade can drop, which does 25% IP of the jelly's HP. And then the other item I haven't spoke about are blue chests. Actual blue chests, not the mimic blue chests, which have a very small chance to drop. It's about 2.4%, I believe, to get a blue chest to drop, and there's 41 blues, I believe, and one of those is a Gades Blade, which gives you 8 attacks. Very hype item if you can find it, because basically the Gades Blade plus the Decker Blade alone gives you a pretty decent chance to kill the jelly. The Decker Blade is going to roll in between roughly 5,200 to 6,200 damage on the jelly too. So it's just a very crucial item. Alright, this is what we call a genie, this blue monster we're encountering. I'm just fighting it here to get through it, but there are a lot of movement tech around them. They face a different direction every 3 moves and activate and chase you if you're within 5 tiles. This other monster in here actually can be dangerous. Moves 1, 1. So every 2 spaces it moves. And the trick is you can't let it surprise you. So it can attack you behind. And if you hit a monster by the side, you have a 50% chance of surprising it. If it hits you, it has 50% chance of surprising you. You cannot let those monsters, that siren we just saw, get a back attack on you, or it can stun lock you for 10 minutes before you eventually die by using status elements attacks and you can't run. We saw some scary sprites down there, the little bird guys, the blue birds a moment ago. Those are Surfacos. They get 2 attacks per round, and they're very powerful, and on top of that they have an AoE. Probably can't kill your whole party at the level we are, but they can kill one character, and we're trying to build IP this deep in the cave and not use all of our items. Okay, floor 58 is the last chance to encounter cores. And this time, in addition to the 58 through 60, in addition to the red cores, the blue cores, and the green cores, we can also get no cores. The no cores do about 50%, 55,000 XP. Now we're at floor 60, and you're going to see me opening quite a bit more because there's a full repertoire of items that we can possibly get. We want finishers for, we want a strong ATP weapon for a guy, like a Zirco weapon or a blue chest that does good ATP, or a great axe. There's quite a few things that drop after floor 60. After floor 50 is where they start, but now the Myth Blade is included too, which is incredibly high ATP. Even though it has a fractional for the jelly, at times you don't want to use a fractional if you need the finisher to pair with a Cancer Rock. It just depends on what you have. Crystal Robe drop that we just had will do a revive on the entire party. That's super good. We did not want to encounter this guy. We wanted to be offset with him. This was a mistake. Those Warm Eyes with him attack 2 times per round if you don't flee. But that black eye we found earlier gave us a big agility boost. As I said earlier, agility was the most important stat in the cave, and the reason for that is if you can go earlier, one, you have a better chance to run away. Runaway formula is pretty complex, but to simplify, it's basically a combination of your slowest character's speed and your fastest character's speed with a RNG factor applied to it versus the monster speed with a RNG factor also applied to it. There's the Curse Lifter. Now we can, with one of our 3 deadly rods, we can use its 1/8 fractional. That is a cursed item that if you auto-equip, can get equipped on Deckard, and then you can't take it off without the Curse Lifter, and we want to use that on Artie. So I'm feeding it immediately to my capsule monster to ensure that I don't auto-equip and put it on, as that can be disastrous to a run, and I may or may not have had multiple runs die that way. The marathon, I will feed it early, I promise. So you see our speed is really good right now. Those splits you see are my speed versus Magus's world record. And at this floor, we're really close to world record pace, actually. Things will go a little bit south at some point. One thing that can happen to you in the cave that's just very poor luck is the floor is not generated fully. It's called a void floor. It's very rare. I've only had 2 runs I couldn't finish ever because of them. And as you can see, the any percent counter at this time was at 1164. So that's about 1 out of every 600 runs that takes place. But the floor does not generate fully, and you can't get to the stairs. And you can tell when that happens because you start getting single node floors. Magus famously had one once after he got some blue mimics. He survived. He said, we were supposed to die there. And he didn't. And then a couple floors later, boom, void floor, run over, just walks away. Nothing you can do about it. Okay, floor 70 at 36 minutes. That is right around Magus's world record. Okay, Silver Sword. That's one of the 3 common finishers for Maxim. So Maxim now is jelly ready. Artie is all kinds of jelly ready. Guy is mostly jelly ready with the Cancer Rock. Artie, of course, has the Curse Lifter and the Deadly Rod. So we're really just waiting on a Decker Blade. Once we get the Decker Blade, we're in what's called Go mode. If you have everything you need to survive, and everything you need to beat the jelly, you can run straight to the jelly. And it'll be interesting during this race, should we be accepted, to see how fast people are going, how risky they're going to play it, and once they're in go mode, to pass the other runners. Again, if you want to see just how exciting this 4-man tournament style race can be, check out our videos. You could get them in the Discord, but you can also find them on YouTube for Fatal Blowout. We're going into our 5th year of tournaments this year, and they happen pretty close to RPG Limit Break. If you wanted to, we might even be able to do the first round of the tournament as part of that live RPG Limit Break. So talk to us about that if you are interested in setting something like that up. There's the famous Orkies right there that I spoke of earlier. They attack 8 times per round. Looks like I'm either going to move him or try to get a back attack on him to get the next floor. Swipes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm counting his moves every time to see if I can get by. I don't want to fight him and get the back attack. There we go. Those teleporting enemy. Ooh, these are Archfiends. They are the most scary thing in the cave. They're the last big roadblock. And they attack twice per round. And they have an AoE. We're about to see one, I believe. Let's see. He's not always an Archfiend. Sometimes he can be an Ice Rogue. I'm manipulating him. There's the Ice Rogue and the Hades. This is very lucky. I'm manipulating to get 1 encounter so I could get past, or attempt to. If they attack us 4 times with their Thunder AoE, you die, no matter what, unless you happen to maybe have a Bolt Shield, which gives you strong Thunder resistance. Okay, looking at IP here, this point in the cave, we're really thinking about having full IP diesel our attacks on the jelly. And Decker is almost full, Guy's full, Maxim's full. It's a bottom bar there. and Artie's pretty full. Now he's all the way full. Now we're hoping to get a Decker Blade, so which uses 100% IP, so we do want to have Decker at 100%. Our levels are pretty low, actually. 25 is the lowest level that I like to be to fight the jelly, because you can survive an IP farm attack from gold dragons, which are the most commonly farmed IP monsters. Or if we look at that room with the Archfiend in it. The Zerko Axe. So there's Guy is now ready. That's a very high ATP weapon to pair with a Cancer Rock. Hold on, I'm trying to see where we are in relation to world record right now. Gosh, I was flying at this point. 48 minutes is where Magus was at floor 80. We're at 40:55 on floor 77. So we're for sure going to get there before Magus's time, at least to floor 80. Okay, so these genies, you activate them and they follow you. I did not want to do that exactly. I wanted to beat the bush, but I should have done it when he's facing away from me, because now he stepped into me and used his AoE, which is great for IP farming, but if he does it twice, he could actually wipe out my party, and then it's game over. I survived fully IP farm, so that worked out good. I'm going to manipulate him now around this chest. He can only move to the right of the chest. He won't move to the left, so you got to lure him to the right when you're trying to get rid of him. Okay, the guy below me can activate, but he's facing away, so he won't. The guy to the right could activate, but he's trapped by a bush and a chest. This one I'm going to have to fight. So I'm moving him away from me by leaving and coming back, running away with, defending with everyone, and using Artie's 80% instant death, which hits both times. Don't get attacked. Very quick fight. There we have a blue chest. It's a flame shield, gives us some defense. And another Archfiend sprite, which we're going to move around the bush, just like we moved the genie a moment ago. We're going to activate him. Looks like we're moving him around the chest. Bring him above. Bring him to the right. And we're home free. The world record, this 45:53 from Magus, is incredibly hard to beat. And there I am, 42 minutes. I'm 6 minutes ahead of Magus's world record right now. That's incredible. Second curse lifter. That we can get a fractional on a deadly sword, just like we have from the deadly rod, but it only does 1/6 of the jelly and does a lot of your IP. So it's not as good, but you could use it in a pinch. I did not realize how fast I was going. There have been thousands and thousands of runs done, and there's only 2 guys with a sub 50, 9 people sub 1 hour. I have just above a sub an hour, like I said, 102. And this run, man, if there wasn't a floor that's coming up, this could have been world record now that I'm watching it. But we're still trying to get that Decker Blade, moving around. These are dragons now. They're not just easy ones. They're the metallic type. Gold, silver, bronze. Each one has an AoE that you can my party right now, like I said, could survive the Copper Dragon AoE at level 25. Barely, but they can do it. A silver or gold could probably wipe out my weaker party members, and the double cast will wipe everybody out. The marathon setting, we're going to be higher level because we're farming all the cores, so it's less likely that they can kill you. Those monsters right there, by the way, drop a 1/8 fractional you can use once if you're really desperate. But the dragons are... There's a common saying in the cave that dragons never killed anyone. What that means is, if you die to dragons, it's almost always your fault, and all these players are going to be really good at avoiding dragons. These guys are easy to avoid. I think I'm fighting them to get a little bit extra levels, because I'm only level 26, and my time is really good, and I'm worried about not having enough damage to beat the jelly, so I'm trying to get that 1/8 fractional drop from them. I'm thinking I might have to use the... Oof. So I have a tough decision here. Activate an Archfiend or try to get this dragon out. I opt for the dragon, and I got the back attack, and there's a silver. I'm going to try to kill him with Artie. If he misses, I have a chance of getting wiped out here. I'm going to try again because Artie's fast. I'm putting Decker in the back row. What am I doing? Am I going to use a smoke ball? I am. Okay, so I have a smoke ball in this case. I don't outspeed him. Get diamond dusted, which is a terrible AoE. Wipes everybody out. Decker takes a hit, but I smoke balled. So I was going to try to kill the dragon, but I didn't even go faster. Smoke ball lets you escape. It's a really handy tool to live in a bad situation like I was just in. Tricks like that are how better runners survive. Okay, I lost count of the dragon there. So waiting for him to move away, count to 3. And once he faces away from me, 1 step, 2 step, and I'm behind him, getting behind. This time I'm playing a little more safe, I think. No, same thing. Go for my 80%. Defeat the silver, and am I beating this one or am I IP farming? Nope, I'm beating him. I don't like to IP farm till 95 through 97 because if something bad happens and I die, I lost all that time I already wasted IP farming. The marathon will probably do the same thing, maybe a little earlier. IP farm around 94. Just in case you have the bad luck of not getting any copper dragons in those last few floors. I feel like every sprite you see has gold dragons or whatnot. Okay, so I don't want to fight the Archfiend, so I'm going to take my chances with the genies. 3 genies. I'm going to use a confuse ball on him to make him randomly attack himself or me. I don't care if he attacks me, but I don't want him using his slow animation attacks, and I don't want both of them using their AoE. There, he attacked himself there. I'd be actually okay at this point, since there's just 1, if he uses AoE on me to build up IP. And I might get it, because I missed with my deadly. I did not. He used a very slow animation that steals MP. It's part of why you use the balls on them. Now, we're going to be running a different capsule monster you see here, the little radish, is Solly. He's very fast, that's why you bring him in any percent. In a marathon, we're going to bring Darby, who at Form 3 gets a special attack that does a 90% deadly. That, as you can imagine, is super handy. Even if you have a deadly, having that additional deadly attack can be very good. And then he has specials that do a lot of damage that he uses very often. I'm waiting for him to face away from me. I kind of messed it up, so I'm moving him. Backup strat is to move him behind the chest and take my stairs. So 54 minutes is what Magus was at floor 90. And we're at 48 minutes. We're like, at the moment, 6 minutes ahead, but we still have a few floors to do. Okay, so we bring Darby, and we feed him a bunch of stuff we found to get him up to floor 4, and then try to get him to learn his a move that does even yet more damage. The Gorgon Rock, a useless blue. And as I said, the stats around Darby, 44% victory rate on the jelly. So most of us, except maybe Zach, because he really likes Sully. Sully can do a lot of damage too, but he also can defend. So he does less damage per turn than Darby does because of the defending, but he could do more net damage. Some people will bring Sully and feed him up. I will definitely be bringing Darby. We still don't have a Decker Blade. We don't have a kill right now. We don't have the items. So if this were the marathon and everyone else was dead but me, and I went to the last 13 floors and didn't find anything, we would beat this true any percent using the glitch to kill the jelly by killing yourself. But we won't talk about that unless we have to do it. Because the way we run any percent, the way we run the cave is the honor system. You have to kill the jelly, quote unquote, legitimately to place. But in marathon, I think we can use the other way. Okay, got 3 dragons. We got to move out of our way. Got some coppers. We're gonna beat one, and if this other one attacks us, great. He's generating IP for us. We're still way ahead of world record pace. It's very rare you're ever at a world record pace. So this is an exciting run for you guys to watch. Floor 89. Looking for our Decker Blade. We're past this gauntlet, what I call floor 73 through 78, where you have all of those archfiends, all those genies. They all stop at 88, and now there's people call this kind of the easy part of the run at the end. Even though if you get stuck in a corridor, there's 90. 90. Oh, and then this room, a Dragon Con. Where are the stairs? Which way do I go? I'm just opening some chests right now because they're really easy access, and I'm desperate for a Decker Blade. But I'm thinking, gosh, I hope I don't have to go through that door. Because on the right-hand side of this room, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 4th deadly rod, 8 dragons. And there I do. I have to go through it. Which means I'm going to have to minute all these guys to face away from me like I just did with him. And beat them regardless of what type of dragon they are. This is what is called a treasure room. Lots of treasures, lots of monsters. And at the end of the cave, since there's not monsters that chase you like archfiends and that can kill you, or genies that can kill you and take a bunch of your time, there's just these dragons that don't follow you, and you could usually manip them out of the way. I took a 50-50 there and didn't get it. But it's okay, I'm just fighting my way through. But there's so many dragons in this room. It's such a time sink. Okay, so healing up and trying to get through this horrific room. There's just 2 of these guys. I'm just fighting my way through. These teleporters, if they land on you, and if there's 4 of them, they can wipe you out pretty easily. But if they're far enough away from you, they'll just walk around. Okay, here's a silver. That's scary, as you saw earlier. But we beat him pretty quickly. We're pretty close to that door now. Huge time sink fighting all these fights. We're also getting a lot of XP. And I specifically remember what's in this chest. You might be thinking it's a Decker Blade. Let's find out. Okay, but what I need to do is I need to move this guy out of range where he can get on me. So I'm kind of moving to the left, swiping my sword, waiting for him to teleport to the left of me. Because once he does, she's being very obstinate. Once he moves there, now he'll just walk around. I don't have to worry about him. But now all these, he walked just close enough to teleport. Okay, did it again, moved him out of the way, and I got these dragons moving down, being a huge time sink. And I ran dragons right into my face. That's a good way to die. I'll be much safer in the marathon, I promise. Right now, I was time panicking because I'm on excellent pace, and This Dragon Con is eating so much time. But we survive. Oh, you know what I was looking at? It was my PB pace. There's Trick. Okay. We weren't close to a world record as of the last split, but we were 12 minutes ahead of PB pace. To correct. Okay, got through the horrible Dragon Con. That's a lot of clapping from the audience in the actual run. Especially since by then one or two people are already dead and the last person is really close, and by that point everyone should be pretty well into it. Okay, but we're running towards the end of the cave. We don't have a Decker Blade, we don't have a Myth Blade. So it's looking like an unlikely kill at the moment, even though we have all the other pieces. Some stairs, I'm definitely not going to take them because I'm desperation opening. There's only monsters are left in the cave are the teleporters and the dragons. That's why it's so easy to get around. Nothing following you is really helpful. Unless you hit a dragon con or a very tight hallway that you spawn into, the dragon can just move into you and there's no way out. That is also pretty rare. Around this time of the run, you're thinking about getting IP, and you want to have your jelly set up in your head. So right now I'm thinking, okay, what are my tools? I have a deadly rod and a curse lifter, so I can just have already use the IP attack devastation at least twice, maybe 3 times because I'm low on fractionals. I have Trick, so Maxim's going to be casting Trick instead of Thunder first turn, and maybe even the second turn too. Oh my, and there's the Decker Blade. We are now in go mode. Other than, we still need IP, but we don't need to open anymore. So now my setup is very clear. Decker Blade on Decker. He's going to use Fatal Blow in the first round from the front row. I have to open this. You know, you have to. If it's a Gades Blade, you save time, right? And then he's going to back attack from the background, the next 2 attacks. Guy's going to be in the front row every time, attacking. Second turn, he's going to be using the Cancer Rock with the Zerko Axe. And the third round, he's going to do that too. Artie will use Devastation from the front row, first attack, and then Devastation from the second row on the second attack. And then he'll follow up with Thunder on the third. And then Maxim will use Trick round 2 and round 3. I'm going to IP farm off this guy now. And then use the Silver Sword 3x attack in round 3 from the front row with Guy in the front row as well. Okay, what we're doing right now is trying to get this guy to do exactly what he just did. Cinder Blast. AoE builds a ton of IP. Everybody's pretty close to ready. I'm going to check. No, I know we're not quite ready, so I'm going to do it again. He Cinder Blast again. Very cooperative. He could use Mirror on himself a million times. He could attack the capsule monster. He could do all kinds of things. Not that useful. But not dangerous either. Floor 98, we're 1 floor to go. We know what we're going to do. We got our IP. There's a Dragon Con on floor 98 right there. We are hoping the stairs are not in there because that's the end of our PB. And possibly the end of our run if things go south. But there's the stairs. We're on the jelly floor. You don't hear the music right now, but it's quite epic. I strongly suggest playing both the jelly music and the floor to get the crowd hyped. before the tournament during setup if you do music. Both are very top tier tracks. And I'm saying that as an Uematsu fan, huge Uematsu fan. They're really on par with his music, both those songs. Okay, so we got everyone healed, got our stuff equipped, and we really screwed up really bad because we didn't uncurse the Deadly Rod. I didn't realize this just yet, but that Deadly Rod is not uncursed, which means I can't use the IP attack. There's Fatal Blow. I'm going to use my... There's Fatal Blow. Oh, wait, why can't I use my IP? Oh, because I did not uncurse it. My kill just got a lot less likely, but I'm recovering quickly. I'm going to put a guy in the front now. Use Fatal Blow. Attack. And now I'm going to trick with both these characters first round. And then use Thunder, my spell, the next round. I'm hoping for a really good Fatal Blow roll. Remember, it can go 5,200 to a max of 6,200. And there's the Fatal Blow. Boom, 6,100. Huge Fatal Blow. Almost as high as you can get. And I manipped Decker to be faster than Guy by giving Decker that black eye that makes his speed quicker. If you go, since he's using a fractional attack, it effectively halves the damage that Guy otherwise would have done. But since I made him faster, Guy got all that extra damage going after his big fractional roll. Okay. So my kill still isn't solidified, even with a Fatal Blow, because Artie's basically just using a 300, 400 attack every time. So I'm hoping for something here, and we're going to get it with a huge Decker crit right here on round 3. Right now, the crowd would be, somebody would be doing a jelly calculator, calling out numbers of damage, trying to get to 9,800. Probably whoever's on their couch. Boom, there's the crit, and there's the win. And that's all. I do hope that you choose us for your event this year. I've never done a marathon, nor has any of the runners except for Shadow Killer, who will defer, he said, to new runners. That's a great part of our community. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you for watching my submission video for Lufia II, the Ancient Cave at RPG Limit Break in Salt Lake City, Utah.